Hi there, welcome to Polkadot Wyckoff Technical Analysis session. To begin with, it's not about talking like what chart we're looking at. I just want to make a few claps to congratulate whoever diamond hands or have been patient in waiting for the breakout, because after multiple weeks of me talking about it's getting there. Finally, it happened this week, so congratulate, especially thank you for coming back every week to look at when it is going to happen. And now it's time to dive into the charts. So this is the weekly chart. As usual, we've got the rainbow color key levels as well as the Wyckoff tags. These orange ones are the accumulation cycle, and just this week we have, Polkadot has broken above the key level of $4.3. So in the past many weeks, probably 7 or 8 weeks at least, since late July, the price has been trading between this white line and the key level, the red key level of $4.3. This white line is the bottom edge of the long-term playground zone, meaning since 2020, the price most of the times, almost like 80% of the time, Polkadot has been trading within the box ceiling and the bottom. Here, this week is significant because it once again broke above the red key level, and not only that, it kind of gone to the point where it's like the center line between the orange and the red key level. So if I draw a line over here, it'll probably let you see what's actually going on and why we are seeing it seems like it's taking a pause right now. Okay, there we go. There is an intermediate level at this current price point around $4.8. So it's not a key level, just that there are multiple occasions where these two candles kind of change positions within those 2 weeks, and then there were two others that found support at this level back in February. Plus, this was where the sign of strength as well as the automatic rally happened back in 2024 September, late August, September. So this, while I haven't defined it as a key level, it does exist. So let me keep this line over here so you understand why the price of Polkadot is currently staying at this level. So you see, when the price gone above this line, it kind of got pushed down to where we are now. That's not a problem if it's really gathering momentum to head into the new distribution cycle. So what we hope to see for it to get to that point is something like a platform stage where some horizontal trading happened. That's further consolidation. That's one of the positive signs that we can expect. Even if it doesn't happen, that's not the only scenario where a price surge would happen after. Look at what happened over here. After the sign of strength, the price kind of traded horizontally but then did a dip before it surges again. So that was what we call the spring. This time, we haven't seen that yet. However, when I put this as a test, you see it's actually lower than the buying climax, sorry, not buying climax, selling climax, and the second test, or just test, and then we have this one. So if it really started to climb, this, we can call that a spring. That's not a problem. I always emphasize, don't get so fixated on how these tests are called. So in distribution cycle, we call them buying climax, upthrust of the distribution. In accumulation cycle, we call them selling climax, second test, and even spring. They are simply just tests of demand. So while this can be a spring, it doesn't really matter to us. And also, there is actually a platform period that happened. Not that it hasn't happened. The way I was saying it is, it may happen at this level because this was where the sign of strength was. It doesn't have to be because there is already one over here. If it has a second one, that's totally fine. If it doesn't, and this is already the beginning of the price surge where the rocket launches, that's totally okay all the way to this buying climax. So the reason I'm drawing the buying climax above the blue key level of $9 is because in the past two distribution cycle, the peaks ended up around the purple key level. So some of that closed below the purple key level, but both challenged that level. And why I'm putting the buying climax between the purple and the blue, because from a long-term value perspective, if you're trying to be a diamond hand for Polkadot, you want this buying climax to happen within this range, because otherwise it will become a declining value situation. So currently it's still flat at around the purple key level. However, if this time the peak at somewhere below the 9.0 key level, that means it's forming a declining trend. So when the next distribution cycle happens after this one, if it also closes lower, then it's showing declining trend, meaning either people losing trust in Polkadot as a project, or basically the attention of people or capital has been drawn to other altcoins. So that's not a good sign from a long-term perspective. So we don't want that to happen. So it has to come challenge the purple, hopefully. So that said, before we go to the daily chart, let's take a look at the Bollinger Band corner squeeze. So you see these white, not white, the shades at the back, these vertical bars over here. That's telling us a squeeze is happening. So you can tell by the lines by looking at the purple that got into the orange, and these vertical bars are basically easier indication telling us a squeeze is going on. So when the squeeze happen, look at these periods. So when the purple lines were in the orange, eventually some form of bigger movements happened. Similarly over here. So it was a very short period of squeeze, and then look at what happened after. So it's a big swing. So when I say swing, it doesn't go just one side, it swings to the other side as well. So this time, when it happens, it can show us something almost exactly the same as what happened back in late 2024. And we're getting very close to the same time period. Basically, we're getting into the fourth quarter. That's when the price surge happened last year. Okay, so we have checked Bollinger Band corner squeeze, and the squeeze is going on. So anytime from now, we can expect a big price swing is going to happen. Finger crossed, it's heading towards the upside, not like over here. So I'm still keeping this 60% towards the upside speculation, while 40% over here in case anything bad happens or any crazy news comes out. It's still within the range where it can do this test. So let's not get overexcited. Always keep your stop loss in place while hoping this to like shoot up in the next few weeks. So let's get to the daily chart. It's a very busy chart, I know, after adding more the Wyckoff tags. So let's enlarge it and then take a look at what happened. So up first, we don't need the question mark anymore. It has happened. However, the question is, I have a hypothesis. So for buying climax, there is, I'm checking why I'm putting a sign of strength over there. It may be just a copy and paste error. I'll take it out. So this, while PSY corresponds to buying climax, the period before buying climax, I have a theory that there is a PSY2 corresponding to the upthrust. So this dip over here may just be the intermediate fluctuations within the PSY period, much like what happened right there back in August. So not too far, it's only 5 weeks ago. So upthrust may not be the spot here, but instead where we are now. It hasn't finished yet, so we have to give it time. Like I said, if the weekly is going to break further up to challenge the orange key level of $5.2, we are getting very close to that point now, and that may be where the upthrust would end up with before it comes back to something I call the AR2, automatic reaction 2, before it challenges a higher price or a higher key level again. So it all depends on how the moves are going to happen within the weekly time frame. If it happens in a way much like what happened back in November 2024 all the way into December, within 5 weeks time, the price has peaked. So it's 1 candle, 2 candles, 3, 4, 5. So 5 weeks, the price has already peaked, and we are starting at candle 1 already. There are still 2 days and 21 hours left. So if it takes 4 weeks to get to the peak, that means by mid-October that will happen. So this will become very interesting, because I honestly usually just do Wyckoff analysis on weekly time frame, and this is the very first time I do it in a daily. If you have been following me for months, you know it's because of the community request that I added this over here. So what I'm interested to see is when the weekly gets into buying climax, like all the way from the accumulation. Polkadot would be a very good example for us to analyze how the Wyckoff pattern would behave in a daily time frame, because when weekly keeps on going up, we can't keep saying, oh, that's upthrust 1, upthrust 2, upthrust 3, but that's how I see it's probably going to happen. So again, we keep this tag over here. When it happens, let's find out, or let's agree on how to call those peaks along the way. So here, I think I've erased a line. So this is the upward trend support line. This is the horizontal intermediate support. There was actually another line. I think I removed it last week while I was talking about a breakout that we like counting down towards somewhere near early October. So by looking at the wicks of the candles of the peaks, like buying climax, second test, it's pointing to the first week of October latest. By that time it will break out, but obviously it broke out 2-3 weeks earlier. So like I said, it doesn't, a lot of times it doesn't wait till the corner of the triangle for the breakout to happen. Volume wise is pretty positive. You see all these white bars, meaning good volume supporting the climb. So today's candle is a bit interesting, because when the price got to this level, it is actually where the second test not actually second test. I would say that's probably the LPSY. Back in late May, that's where the level it was, and also where the automatic rally happened back in late March. So somewhere around these two key Wyckoff stage, that's where the price hits, and then obviously there are people selling at that level because they might have got in at this point when the price was going up, and then they basically just caught off guard, and the price immediately went down to somewhere during like all the way to the selling climax back in late June. So they have waited for 2.5, almost 3 months for the price to get to this level once again. So it's understandable that they are going to sell at this point. So sorry, I forgot to change it to this view. So I was talking about this LPSY. They probably got in here, and then the price immediately dropped, and they've waited till now. They have a break-even price to sell. So that's why we've got some selling pressure at the current level, or like over here, around $4.9. But if this is really the path towards the new distribution cycle, this is just an intermediate, like, or short-term selling. Not that it's going to persist. Like I said, the white bars are pretty healthy, so hopefully it continues that momentum, and by late October maybe you'll have a bigger celebration, and I'll make a few bigger claps for you by then if it really heads to the purple line of $10.3. Thanks for joining me. See you.